What's up, guys? We got another game with the white pieces against MZK. It looks like he's opening up with the French, so we're gonna play the advanced French and see what he does. He should probably go c5, but he goes c6. This is not thematic in the French, doesn't threaten anything. It's a really bad move. You're supposed to go c5, it takes away the square from the knight. We're just going to continue with normal development. Knight f3, bring the king's knight out to its natural square. We're then he goes bishop e7, developing the bishop, getting closer to castling. We're going to develop our bishop and eye the h7 pawn in case he castles. He goes h6. This doesn't threaten anything. He's just stopping pieces from coming here. Drawback is it's kind of slow. We don't need to rush with anything. We could go straight for the center since he didn't play c5. We can try to open it up with c4 and play like that. We can also just try to play directly on the king side. So let's be flexible and just start with castling. And see what black does. Now that he played h6, he has nowhere to develop his knight. So that's a little weird. So he goes b6, trying to maybe trade my strong bishop, my nice bishop, and fix his bishop, which isn't the best. So here. And what happens is, once it gets here, you can't move your bishop because the rook's behind it. So I'm going to play c4 to block this diagonal. Also, c4 is a good move. And if he puts it here, I could have supported with b3. He doesn't go for that idea. Instead, he just develops with a fianchetto. The downside is he's staring into quite a lot of pawns, so it's not a scary bishop. I'm going to... what am I going to do? If I just move my knight, he can take. And then if I take, he can push c5 and open up his bishop. I don't want his bishop to be good. So I'm going to take so that he has to recapture with the pawn, which would block the bishop, or with the queen, which keeps the diagonal open again, but at least I get some tempi for it. I get a good square for my knight, which normally you don't have in the French because the pawn's here. It comes with a tempo. Now I can jump in here. So it's a little bit nicer, I guess. And he's still having trouble developing. That's nice. What else? This pawn is a little bit tender. Perhaps we can support it, glue our structure together, and develop a piece with a move you see a lot anyway, bishop e3. It hits this diagonal one more time. Supports the pawn so the knight can move. Whoa, king d7. What is this? Well, it doesn't threaten anything, but what is... He's trying to go this way? I don't know what he's trying to do. That's the... Okay, whatever. He's trying to run or do something. I'm going to assume he's going to run and develop my rook and put it where I think his king's about to go anyway. If he does put his king on one of these squares, now you have... I'm not saying it's good, but moves like this because he can't take. So like check, he has to move his king again. You have a knight jump like this, but it's not that good, I don't think. So check, king moves. Yeah, I don't really see it just yet. But this has to be horrible for him. It can't be good at all. It also moves like this now because this diagonal is a little not sure. It does open up this diagonal for him, which he could use anyway, I guess. It does pressure this pawn. He does want to go c5 anyway, though. Knight in here, c5, takes. Yeah, maybe knight in here puts another attacker. I like knight in here. It opens this up. It controls the c5 square one more time. He wanted to play c5 to open his position, but now his king's here, so it makes no sense at all. So now he tries to go for the other pawn lever, f6, since his king's not there. So the threat is to try to break my center. The drawback is it weakens this. Also, I'm not going to take. Also, opening up this diagonal to his king might not be the best idea. We don't want to take. That's the one thing we don't want to do. That's good to know. I want to push, but doesn't seem to do anything after takes. We could relocate our bishop here, preparing for the opening. Then we're threatening. Yeah, let's change the diagonal of this bishop to the point of the king. It was protecting this, but the knight's still protecting this, and we have the queen x-raying it with potential discoveries. I don't know where. He continues hitting the bishop. We now have this option of check. He gets the bishop, we get the bishop, but we could just drop it back and maintain. If we drop it back and he kicks again, then we do have this check. He has to do something, and we can address the knight later. Let's say he goes here. No, that can't be good. Yeah, let's just go back. This diagonal and me opening at any time is really bad for him. So maybe f5, g4 to kick my pieces around, close this up. Might make my bishop really stupid. I mean, he's still undeveloped and his king's dumb, so it's whatever, but maybe that's his best try. Yeah, so he does close it up. Maybe his best bet. Now, at least he opened up some space for his rook. Oh, and I'm getting trapped this way. Awesome. This is cool. So let's jump in the center and threaten a fork of the queen and the rook in case he does this. In case he takes, he frees up my bishop, which would be bad for him. And if he just moves, okay, he does go for this, so I'm gonna hit the queen. He has to move the queen. He moves the queen and hits the knight. So I guess we just take the rook. He's gonna take our bishop, and now we're gonna take his pawn, and we're all 3 points of material. He goes h5, and we evacuate our knight with the help of our bishop and threaten to trade his, I guess, best minor piece. Although we don't want to help his knight develop either, so maybe if he develops first, we take. Okay, he removes it, but this can't be a good move. It's clearly passive and doesn't do anything. Can I get my knight out somehow? I don't have the pawn I need to the pawn lever I need to escape it. I know, maybe I could move this knight here and open up another avenue slash defender and relocate this knight since it was doing jack all here. This pawn's defended. It was defending this, but the queen's not hitting it anymore. And now I have threats of my own, and he doesn't want me coming in this way. So he goes c5, he ignores everything. I mean, this is a move you want to make, but does he have the time for it? Debatable. We'll say that. I mean, we can improve our knight like we planned. That makes a lot of sense. It's a beautiful square for the knight. I mean, this is super annoying. Oh! I blundered my knight. But wait. Knight takes c5. Queen is hit. Queen goes somewhere. Then I have knight takes e6. Another discovered check. Totally worth it. So, Queen c6, threatening checkmate if I move my knight. Very clever. Very clever, sir. But he can't, he's not actually threatening the knight itself. So I'm going to open up this the D file and take on the C file since he's lining everything up for me. So nice. This took away the square for his pieces. He takes, but it's supported, so I didn't even have to go through the side door because he left the front door open. Nice. And now I get a free queen. See? Trap my own bishop. Because I knew, I calculated 24 moves ahead that I would win a queen. Okay, now this guy could resign. But he won't. Instead, he'll finally, on move 24, develop his knight. I'm going to take free stuff only because it comes with check. Otherwise, you could just bring in your pieces. I'm going to take his stuff because I'm up a queen. And I don't want to calculate. And I don't know. Bishop a6 check. And then queen in check. And then just take the bishop. We'll bring in the rook. Ooh. Push the pawn. He's stuck. His pieces can't move. He never even touched his king's knight. Imagine playing a game of chess, being on move 31, and your king's knight hasn't moved. Never. That's never happened. Ever. In the history of chess. Until MZK comes along. Oh, H4. He's going to get me. He's going to get me, folks. So we obviously ignore this. If you were like, oh, I need to respond, let me push, or let me take, know that that's completely wrong. Way of thinking, anyway. We'll just give him this check to annoy him, I guess, and separate him from his pieces. He has to leave one or the other. Or that. He does not have to leave one or the other. So we take the knight with the rook. He can't take the rook because it's pinned. He can't take because it's defended. He has to take the queen. Then we take back, and his king can't cross. It can only take the rook, and we get another queen. And then he'll resign. Now he'll resign. Nope. He's going to play for stalemate. That's fair. So I'm just going to bring my knight in and, I don't know, slowly figure out a checkmate. Let's get some pawns in there. Let's box them in a little bit. Okay. I'm only doing this because it comes with check, so I have to address it. Otherwise, I wouldn't. Might as well forcing move. And checkmate. So, that was an interesting game. Trap my own piece. Whoops. We're playing Siddhartha 1307. He starts with the immediate fianchetto, getting to safety. We're going to just put two pawns in the center and develop our pieces. He plays an e6, makes the dark squares a little bit tender. Dark squares already developed. I guess he's doing it to create a square for his knight, potentially. I'm just going to put my bishop here because this diagonal is a little bit stifled at the moment. Okay, so he's doing some type of double fianchetto system. That's fine. We are going to just put both our knights out, defending the center. He develops a knight, controls some of this. Maybe he's going for d5 pawn push. But we're just going to continue developing. We can move this bishop to a couple different squares. We're gonna go G5, Bishop G5, creating a pin. Maybe this will entice him to create some weaknesses around his king by pushing pawns. And then I'll just retreat to a safer square. He develops his other bishop, he encaros it, puts a little pressure on the pawns, but it's stable for now. I potentially want to castle queenside, so I'm just gonna create this battery and lift my queen to move my king. So he does castle kingside. So I'm gonna castle queenside. So it's a fun game. See, that's not a good move. He goes h6, threatening to kick my bishop, but I created this battery, so it's actually just hanging. And now I win a pawn. I remove the most important defender for his king, because now, since he moved to e6 and g6, his dark squares are weaker, so that's an important bishop to have, the dark square. If I take that away, potentially very dangerous for him. So he develops a knight. I mean, it develops a piece, but my queen's right in front of his king. Kind of have to address that first, I feel like. So if I go here and threaten checkmate in 1, how does he stop that? He can't move his king. Moving the rook doesn't help. Moving either knight doesn't do anything. And so it's only move 11 against the 1300, but queen h7 ends the game, and there was no way to stop it. So that's a 12 move checkmate. We take fast games. We like those, so we keep going. When your opponent's right by your king, you can't just ignore it and develop a piece like nothing's happening. So that's one takeaway. It's a mature, rapid, classical game, whatever. See you guys.